Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to let some of our friends trickle in. Um, but thank you for coming. And I'm super excited to be here with y'all. We have some friends coming from across the state and some from across the country too. So always appreciate you spending some time with us today. My name's Andrea, and I'm one of the admission counselors here at Chapman. I am originally from Georgia, and now I live in California, and I'm gonna get
I think we may have lost her for a second, but it looks like she's back in.
You're muted, Andrea.
I'm back, all good. Steele, this is your time to shine. Perfect introduction.
Amazing. Thank you. Always fun getting to navigate Zoom. My name's Steele Vibrett. I'm one of our admission counselors here at Chapman. I grew up in Richmond, Virginia, so I was an East Coaster originally. I know we have some East Coasters joining us today, so shout out to y'all. Hello. I'm also a Chapman alum, so I graduated in 2021. I was political science and global communication major. I loved living in Orange, and I'm very excited to chat a little bit more about it with you all today.
And we have some friends also joining us to help support the chat. So while we're talking through the presentation, if you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the Q&A panel, and our colleagues will help answer them. We'll also have a student Q&A session at the end of the presentation. So if you have any questions about the current student experience, feel free to throw those in the chat as well. I'm going to kick it off to Christian.
Thank you for that, Andrea. Hi, good afternoon, good evening, where this session may find you virtually. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Cristian Aguilar. I'm one of the Associate Directors for Diversity Initiatives here at Chapman University. I use he, him pronouns, and very happy to be here. One of the things I was asked is, what is your favorite thing in Orange? And for me, one of my favorite things is just the amount of restaurants that we have. There's so many shops and eateries here in the city of Orange, but if I had to pick one spot, it would probably be the taco stand, which is a San Diego-based taco restaurant here in the city of Orange. So handmade tortillas, freshly made food. So highly, highly recommend if you are in the area to try Taco Stand.
Thank you, Christian. And Maricruz.
Lovely. Well, hi, everyone. My name is Maricruz Santander, and I serve as an admission counselor. Before we get started, I want to give a warm congratulations to all of our amazing admitted students. With that said, I'm pretty local. I'm 45 minutes away, so originally from Montclair, California. If anybody knows where that's at, please let me know. I always love connecting with folks about my hometown. But with that said, my favorite place in Orange specifically is a coffee shop called Play Coffee. A warm shout out to Steele because he actually introduced me to it. If you ever do decide to go, please let me know what your thoughts are. Again, I'm a huge fan, and welcome to today's presentation.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to throw those in the chat and we'll get them answered for you. We're going to cover a lot of ground today. We'll get to hear a little bit more about what's nearby campus, what's walking distance, and what you can enjoy steps away from our community. And then also hear about what's further away, maybe a short drive away or by train as well, some of the opportunities that you can explore in Southern California. Speaking of transportation, how you can get around, the opportunities that exist there. And like I mentioned, there'll be a chance to also hear from our current students as well about what their transition was to living in Orange and what their experience has been. So now that you've heard a little bit about our community, I want to tell you about where our students are coming from and the kind of community that you'll step into at Chapman. For the majority of the time, students are coming in not really knowing anybody their first day of school. It's kind of a fresh start and you're settling in your roots here at Chapman and finding that community and experience here. For the most part, our students are traveling from over 100 to 500 miles away from home and finding that space here. So you're not alone in that sense. There are some of you who are joining us today who are going to come this next fall, and you'll see that for yourself. And there's some of you here that can hear that experience if you come for a tour or hear a little bit more about our experience too. There is some of our students who are local and they'll help kind of navigate that space and give those recommendations. Even some of our state students from Northern California, it still feels like a brand new place and a brand new state in general too. So in hearing a little bit about what the community is like and what's in that area, I want to tell you about what you can find walking distance from campus in a short walk away. And Steele will take it out from here.
Amazing. Thanks, Andrea. So one of the huge just gems that we have in our community is Old Town Orange. It is right next to our campus, so it is essentially attached. You can walk right from our campus over there. Once you step foot off the sidewalk, you're in Old Town Orange. There is so much to do in there, whether it's going to restaurants and grabbing a bite to eat. There's so many coffee shops and study spots. Contra, which is shown in a little picture here, is one of my absolute favorites. They have on tap coffee and tea. And they also have that whole, as you can see in the picture, like there's a whole bookshelf wall. So you can come, just grab a book, grab a coffee. It's a great place to study or just hang out. There's also a ton of shopping opportunities, a lot of really cute, like boutique style stores. It definitely has that old town, kind of small town feel, which I think is really special, especially in Orange County, because it is such a special little pocket. It feels like its own little community, and there's just so much to explore. You also have a ton of even working opportunities too. I worked there as a student throughout my time here at Chapman at a cute little coffee shop called Starbucks that's in the circle. But it was a great, just very easy employment opportunity for me. I didn't have a car my freshman year, so it was really nice just being able to walk straight from class to work and vice versa. Everything's super accessible. And so having the Orange Circle right next door is just a huge advantage for our Chapman students. There's also plenty of on-campus employment opportunities. So if you're looking for work as a student, you have a lot of options. You have a lot of options on campus. We offer work study. So a lot of our students who are able to take advantage of their work study opportunities will get on-campus jobs. And that can look a variety of different ways, whether you're a tour guide or working in one of our gyms, or one of my friends was a spin instructor while they were on campus. So you have a lot of really fun options. There's also, of course, options in Old Town. You could be like me and be a barista at our local Starbucks or at one of our cute little boutique stores. You have a lot of employment opportunities, which I think is a huge advantage of having that Orange Circle right next door. So you have the recreational aspect of it, but you also have that practical and professional development aspect of it too. So a lot of good opportunities that come there.
Definitely. And if you're an international student, that on-campus employment is going to be super integral if you're looking for a job while you're on campus and in college. It'll be part of your experience that you could apply for on campus as well. With that also being said, there's a lot of other attractions in that area of Orange and Orange County that are really accessible to our students. I think that most notably Disneyland, it's so close to campus that you can see the fireworks at night from students' dorms and the buildings. So it's a fun spot that you can go during the day, maybe in between classes if you're really thrill seeking. It's also one of our largest employers. So even if you're going for fun or for your shift, it's a short 10-minute drive away. Maybe you're a little bit more of a thrill seeker like me. We have a local amusement park called Knott's Berry Farms, which is a short 20-minute drive away as well. They have really cool adventure shows and thrill rides. At the fall time, they put on a haunted house kind of extravaganza, which I found really scary. And they also have a water park as well. If you are looking for a game to watch, maybe you're an avid baseball fan or a hockey fan, we have two local sports teams right next to our campus, about a 5-minute drive. Both of those. Our Anaheim Angels play at the Angel Stadium and the Anaheim Ducks play at the Honda Center. So those tickets are really easy to find for Chapman students. Most of the time they'll be super discounted too because you are a Chapman student as well. And you'll see a lot of students go there and go together and walk together and drive together too. If you're not a huge sports fan, these places also hold other types of events. The Angel Stadium is home to a bunch of art festivals and food festivals too. And the Honda Center has seen the K-pop band BTS. They've seen Kendrick Lamar and Gwen Stefani perform there as well. If you are looking to go food shopping or grocery shopping and grab a snack and those restaurants nearby the Orange Circle are not really interesting for you or you kind of grown out of them, you can also go walking to our farmers market that happens every Saturday on campus, or to the convenience store right by campus called Southside Market. Those are really convenient for students to grab and go and grab things that they're looking for. The farmers market is really cool too, because they're all local businesses and vendors that you can join and see that community aspect. There was one student that worked in the office of admission a couple years ago, and she loved talking to everybody around her and the local business vendors. And by those connections that she grew and she fertilized every week, one of the popsicle stands that was at the farmers market offered her a job to work at Coachella during Coachella Music Festival. So just goes to show that community feeling is all around campus and all around that community too. If you are looking for a wider range of food opportunities or grocery opportunities, we have Ralph's and Target nearby. The Chapman shuttle system will also shuttle students every Saturday to Ralph's to go grocery shopping. So there's a lot of opportunities there. Lastly, if you're a shopaholic like me, we have two conventional malls in the area, Orange Outlets and South Coast Plaza. My personal favorite is the Lab over in Costa Mesa. It's like a unique outdoor experience that you can walk around and check out. But there's a lot to do in the surrounding area, and a lot to walk and see if you need stuff for your dorm or need stuff to go shop for.
There are a lot of transportation options as well. As I mentioned earlier, I was a student here and I didn't have my car my first year. I did end up getting a car at the end of my sophomore year over here. So I've kind of experienced both sides of the coin. And it was very easy both ways. About a third of our first year students will bring their car. Everyone is able to bring their car starting from your very first year, and we have parking available. It's already included in tuition, so it's not an additional fee to bring your car. And parking is very accessible. We have a huge parking structure right in the middle of the residence life area. So that's where most of our first years will park their car. It's literally right next to all the dorms. So it's super accessible and super easy. And then we also have multiple parking structures located around campus for students who are commuting from a little bit further away to park their car there as well. So having a car is a popular option. I wouldn't say it's required by any means. I kind of liked being that friend my freshman year that just took advantage of all my other friends' cars and I didn't have to drive anywhere. So whichever kind of way you want to do it, you absolutely can. There's a lot of options for local transportation. So we have our Metrolink station that is right next to campus. I know I took advantage of that a ton, especially as an out-of-state student and someone who didn't have a car my freshman year. I loved using that just to be able to explore Southern California a little bit. I would take that up to Los Angeles, and it will go also all the way down to San Diego, and well beyond that as well. You could take it all the way up to Santa Barbara. You could take it all the way up the coast if you want. But so if you want to do a little exploring in California, that Metrolink station is a fantastic resource for you. And tickets are pretty cheap as well. You also get a student discount, so that's really nice. I think getting up to LA for me, it was like $5. So very, very easy. You get up to LA in 45 minutes flat. You miss all that crazy LA traffic. So actually it's kind of a win. So I'm a huge fan of the Metrolink and definitely advocate for students to take advantage of it while they're here. Some of our students will even have internships up in LA, and they'll use the Metrolink as a way to commute up there. So that really helps just increase access for all of our students. We also have Zipcar as an option. So you essentially kind of rent out a car for the day, and those are available right on campus. Anaheim Resort has transit. There's the Chapman shuttle, which a lot of students will take advantage of. It goes between all of our different Chapman facilities. So if you're living in our continuing housing like Chapman Grand or Chapman Court, which we're about to open up this fall, those are two beautiful, beautiful buildings that we have in Anaheim where we house students. They're about 10 minutes from campus, so you get a nice little sense of independence, but they're still very easily accessible through that Chapman shuttle or having your car there. The shuttle's nice. It'll run pretty much throughout the day every 10 to 15 minutes. So very easy to grab that, get to campus, and not have to worry about a car or parking or anything. So Chapman shuttle is a very popular option. Bikes are also a super popular option on campus. We have bike racks by the dorms, even cute little bike fix-it stations. So if you need to tighten your wheel or fix your handlebars or anything like that, there's little stations around campus that have all the tools you need to do that. So it's really convenient and easy for students who want to bike around campus. Also skateboarding or longboarding is super popular. Not that you necessarily need it because campus is honestly very walkable, but it can help you zip to class a little bit faster if you want. So those are pretty popular methods of transportation for our students.
Definitely. I also want to mention Zipcar is on our campus as well, and it's a free app that you can get. All you need to do is pay a membership fee, and basically you can rent a car for the day or for the hour, whatever you need to do. Maybe you have a errand to run or somewhere to be. It's located on our campus by our parking lots, and you just go on the app and see if something's available. So if you're in a jiffy and you need to be somewhere really fast or need the car for the day, that is also a cool option that we have on campus. I think my favorite part about moving to Southern California, I came from Georgia. There's humid weather, it's raining all the time, thunderstorms galore. So I really enjoy the sunny skies that you get year round here. You're also really close to the beach and the mountains. So it gives you a lot of opportunity to explore different landscapes and different nature opportunities that maybe you didn't get a chance to see prior to. I know I definitely gotten a lot of opportunities to go to the mountains and go to the beaches, all in a hot second, in a 20-minute drive for the beach or an hour and a half to the mountains. So weather-wise, don't leave your umbrellas at home. Maybe grab a some pair of shades and some flip-flops, and then you'll fit right in. Now we got to talk a little bit more about the stuff that's closer to campus and a short drive away. I want to talk a little bit more about those nature opportunities and outdoor activities that we have farther out. Our closest beach, like I mentioned, is about 20 minutes away. It's Newport Beach, but the Southern California beaches are world known, and there's the Huntington Beach, Santa Monica, Crystal Cove. There's a lot to explore there, and maybe you'll pick up surfing while you're here. Who knows? You could be a paddleboarder like me instead. But there's that's a huge opportunity for our students to go during the weekends. Hiking and camping is also huge. There's a lot of outdoor parks and national parks in the surrounding area. And as I mentioned, skiing, there's Big Bear and Mammoth Mountain as well, both a 90-minute drive or a 3-hour drive. And what it's really cool about being at Chapman and being a student here is that you'll have opportunities to join clubs right from that first day of freshman year to go explore these awesome places with people just like you who are new to the area. So I'm sure our students can attest the ski club, surf club, outdoors club are really, really popular on campus, and they'll actually organize these trips for you. The dates that everyone is available for, the lodging and the ticketing, you show up and find new friends, maybe get a new hobby or practice some skills that you're already used to. But there's definitely a community that will do it with you. And it's very accessible straight from that campus moment to going there with all your buddies and all your new friends too. Being in Southern California, we're right in the heart of Orange County. So we have two really cool cities next door, one of them being Los Angeles. That is a huge entertainment, financial, and cultural hub of the country. And there's so much to do. You can't even fit it all on one slide, honestly. But from concerts from all your favorite artists, they have Universal Studios, they have different pop-up shops, there's different restaurants to try. The foodie scene is amazing. So you could spend a day in LA and still have so much more to do. Our University Programming Board is also another student organization that will help host events and ticketing and transportation to see a lot of these cool places like Horror Nights, the Griffith Observatory, and different kind of cool events that happen in LA and get Chapman students there as well. But I love going there. I've never had better sushi before. I never even liked sushi in Georgia, and now it's one of my main food groups. So the foodie scene, the cultural scene, and the music scene is really, really cool in Los Angeles and in San Diego too.
Beautiful transition. San Diego is another city that we have nearby. It's just south of us, so about 2-ish hour drive, depending where you're coming from. But there are so many fun things to do there as well. It is, first of all, just a gorgeous city. But in terms of entertainment, my personal favorite thing there is the San Diego Zoo. I think everyone who spends any time in Southern California should check it out. There are tons of adorable animals, and it is just one of my favorite places on the planet. La Jolla Cove is also another one of my favorites. You can go down and see all the seals and sea lions on the rocks, which is really special. Balboa Park is beautiful. The Gaslamp District is a great place to grab some food. The scenes and the scenery are just stunning. There's also a lot of professional opportunities in San Diego, so that's another thing that our students can take advantage of. But being close to San Diego is definitely a big asset because it is one of my favorite places to explore. It's a pretty quick either day or weekend trip if you want. So having that close by is also really nice. A couple other of my favorites. These 4 places are some of my favorite places ever. Catalina Island is just kind of across the water. It's about a 90-minute ferry ride away from us. It is stunning. It is just beautiful. There's a little city called Avalon that you take the ferry into. And then there's all sorts of cute little restaurants and shops. There's a beautiful botanical garden there. There's some wild buffalo that live on the island. It is just a stunning city that we have, or area that we have such close access to. And getting to ride the ferry itself is even really cool. Last time I did it, I got to see a bunch of whales. So if you want to like a quick whale watching trip, you can take the Catalina Ferry. Joshua Tree is another favorite. That's out in the desert, just about a 2-hour drive from us. The stars at night there are absolutely stunning. That is definitely my favorite piece of it. There's a lot of cool just rock formations. If you're into rock climbing or bouldering at all, it is one of the coolest places to do that. And just hiking and getting to be out in nature and getting to see the stars is stunning. So I cannot recommend Joshua Tree enough. Big Bear for all my skiers is another one that you must do. As Andrea mentioned, we have our snow club that will take ski trips up there throughout the semester. So very popular among our students. And then Las Vegas is another popular destination for our Chapman students, especially in our Greek life. A lot of their big formal weekends and fun events like that will happen in Las Vegas. So that's a popular kind of destination spot for our students for a little bit longer of a trip. But it's pretty accessible. It's about a 4-hour drive. So a commitment for sure, but very doable in a day. So also an option for students. Again, I think the big takeaway here is that you have so many options. There's so much to explore. Really, whatever your interest is. I always say, whether you want sand, snow, or city, we have got you covered. We've got it all. We're right in the middle of it. So you can really dip your toes in all those different areas that you want.
If you want to go for Europe in a day, Catalina Island is right there. It literally looks like you're in Italy. So I have to absolutely second everything that Steele said. And I also want to shift a little bit. And now that you've gotten to hear about the weather, the recreational activities, and all that comes with being here at Chapman, there's also a huge opportunity professionally and in the internships being located in Orange County. Orange County is the 6th largest county in the United States, and it's home to over 100,000 different businesses. As one of the top private universities in Southern California, these businesses that you see right here know and value the degree and education that we get to offer our students. So they are really thinking Chapman first, and they're thinking about the rigor and the programs that we offer when they're hiring incoming employers, interns, and all things like that. So these are the places that you can expect to connect with, interact with, who already have Chapman alum working there and coming to campus and telling you a little bit more about what their opportunities are like. At the end of the day, you're here for your professional enjoyment and opportunities. Recreation is a huge plus, but you're going to be set up for success coming to Chapman and having that opportunity to be in Southern California that'll expand outside of that nationwide and internationally as well.
There's also a lot of great off-campus living opportunities. So as I kind of teased earlier, we've got our Chapman Grand and we've got Chapman Court, which is opening this fall. What's pictured here is Chapman Court. So this will be our newest addition to our housing facilities. As you can see, it is stunning. It was built for working professionals, but we have acquired it and turned it into student housing. So it is very nice. Our admission team actually got to take a tour of the facility a couple weeks ago, and I was absolutely blown away. I was honestly jealous. I want to move now. But it is beautiful. And you get to have access to this as a Chapman student. So you have some options for living off campus. We also do have some continuing housing that's very close to campus too. So know that that is an option for you. Some of our sophomores, juniors, and seniors live very close to campus. So you have kind of the choice of whether you want a little space from campus, a little distance, or if you want to stay right there. But as far as our off-campus housing options go, the three really main ones are going to be Chapman Grand, Chapman Court, and Panther Village. All of them are apartment style living, and they are beautiful facilities. And again, all have a shuttle service that will take you directly from those facilities to our campus. So know that you can live in them whether you have a car or not. And they are just wonderful and full of amenities. They are fully stocked apartments with full kitchens. So you get that full independent living kind of experience.
All right, I know that was a lot of information to take in, so I want to give a time here for our students to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit more about what they're involved in, what their major is, and where they're coming from too.
I can go. My name is Emily. I am a senior psychology major and women's studies minor here at Chapman. I'm originally from Dallas, Texas, so I'm one of our out-of-state students. I'm involved in Greek life, I'm in a social sorority. I'm in the Chapman Spanish Club, and I'm also a first-generation college student. And of course, I work here in the Office of Admission as well.
Hi guys, my name is Tanner. I am a junior broadcast journalism and documentary major. I'm from the Seattle area, but if you're actually from Seattle, I'm not at all. I'm from Tacoma, but I am involved in quite a few things on campus as well, including working in the Office of Admission and being involved in Greek life as a member of one of our social fraternities and serving as the president of our interfraternity council. And yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Awesome, thanks guys. I'm opening up the chat and seeing if there are any questions on there. So if you want to send some questions to Tanner or Emily about their experience, feel free to throw them in there. Straight off and in kind of tandem about the presentation, I would like to ask you both, Emily and Tanner, what is your favorite part about living in Orange and being in this area?
I think location is obviously one of the immediate things that drew me to Chapman. When I was picking schools or to research or to apply to, the first parameter was that I didn't want to stay in Texas, but I didn't want to go anywhere that got colder than Texas. So naturally, I landed in Southern California. One thing that I love about Chapman specifically, but also just Orange County as a whole, is that there's, as you just saw in that presentation, so much to do in the immediate area, but also like these expanding circles as you get farther and farther away. So you literally cannot get bored. There's always something to do. And I love the beach.
Yeah, for me, I knew I wanted to come to Southern California, wanting to go into sports media. But just being here in Orange at Chapman, it's been great. I just love the surrounding area. Being a big sports fan, it's fun to be able to go to Angels games, literally just 5 minutes away or things like that. But also just kind of what all the counselors said. The Circle is such a fun area. It was one of the reasons why I chose to come to Chapman, is it reminded me a little bit of the town that my parents live in now. Just a lot of unique coffee shops and things like that, like they all mentioned, and restaurants. So it's just a fun area to live in. And so that's kind of my favorite thing about that.
Awesome, thanks guys. I see a question in the chat and hearing that you're both in Greek life. How prominent do you think it is at Chapman?
I will say that I said I was going to answer it. So this question is actually perfect. Is there pressure to be involved in Greek life? We like to say that there is definitely a presence, but it's not a pressure. So it's definitely there if you want to be a part of it. About a quarter of our students are involved in Greek life. But it's not something that you feel like you have to be involved in to feel included socially. There's over 185 different clubs on campus. So there's so many ways to be involved, even if you're not involved in Greek life. But like, it is definitely there if you want to be a part of it. There's a lot of great things that are happening. If you're maybe interested in being a part of a Greek organization that isn't just a social fraternity or sorority, we have several different professional co-ed fraternities. We have a few different multicultural Greek organizations as well. and some Greek honor societies. So there's lots of different options there as well. But in terms of being a pressure, I wouldn't say there's a pressure, like there's a presence, but it's not something that you feel like you have to be a part of.
Totally. I'll echo all of that. Coming from the South, Greek life was something that seemed kind of scary and overwhelming. And I honestly don't think I could see myself going through recruitment anywhere else. I feel like a lot of places, Greek life is something that closes you off from the rest of the campus community, whereas my recruitment experience was that it actually expanded my connection to campus. Doing recruitment in the spring for our sororities really allows you to figure out what college looks like for you, get acclimated to campus, make some friends, and then decide if Greek life is right for you. So in my personal experience, all of my current roommates that I have now as a senior, I met my first semester as a freshman, and they're all in other chapters or unaffiliated. And I also still have all of my friends from my chapter.
Awesome. Thank you guys for sharing your insight. I also want to mention that I feel like Chapman is a good place that has a lot of Venn diagrams. There's a lot of different organizations and clubs that students are a part of, and not one is their personal identifying quality either. So echoing everything that Emily and Tanner said too. I'm also seeing, do kids stay on campus during holidays? For you guys, since you're both out of state, what was your experience like being here for break or not being here for break, or knowing other students as well?
I've done it all. I've had years where I've gone home for the full week. I've had years where I just went home for a couple days. And I've had years where I've gone home with like some of my friends who are from closer by. I know one of the girls that we work with, she was staying in Orange for Thanksgiving break, and her professor heard about it and said, "There's no way you're spending Thanksgiving alone. Come to my house and have dinner with my family." So no matter if you celebrate Thanksgiving or if you don't, you'll find something to do either going home or staying in the area. We also have a Thanksgiving dinner held on campus that's sponsored by the school. So you'll find something to do, whatever it is that you decide.
Yeah, kind of on that same note, I've been home for Thanksgiving every year. One thing that's great about going to Chapman is that we get the whole week off. So it's really easy, especially coming from out of state, to be able to fly home and be home for an entire week plus. This past year I went home like the Thursday before Thanksgiving and was there till Sunday. So I was almost home for like a week and a half. Having that entire week off makes it really nice. Same thing with winter break. I'd say most students go home then. But what's also nice about that is like if you want to spend some extra time at home, right after winter break is our interterm period, which is optional. And so you have the opportunity to spend like a month and a half at home if you wanted. My freshman year, I stayed home for about a month. I wasn't taking an interterm class and then came back about the middle of January. So there's definitely, it makes it very easy to go home if you want to. But I would say for the most part, it's a good balance. I'd say a good amount of people go home, but there's a decent amount of people still that will be on campus still.
Great stuff. What is orientation like? How is it organized? What was your guys' experience as freshmen, and what was that like for you guys?
For me it was great. So basically orientation starts and move-in is the Tuesday before classes start. And so Tuesday is pretty much move in, and then you get to like meet your orientation group. It is very organized, and what's fun about it is your orientation group is all of the incoming students in your major. And so for me, my major, there was like 25-ish of us, and we were all in one group. And it's really fun because you get to meet all these people that you're going to be taking a lot of classes with for the next 4 years. Your first couple days, Chapman. And you get to build relationships with them, and then you already know, like going into classes, that first day of class, you're going to recognize faces and know some people because of orientation. And like beyond just the being with your group, your orientation group, there is a lot of different programming and events that happen during that week for the students. It is a very organized thing, and it's a really fun time, honestly. There is some programming for parents as well during that time, or some stuff for like both parents and the students. But yeah, it is very organized. It definitely gets you like a good feel and makes you feel comfortable and a lot easier to kind of get settled. as you come in before you actually start classes.
I don't have much to add for that. I was a COVID freshman, so my orientation was online. But even in that format, my orientation leader ended up being one of the other tour guides who trained me when I started working in the Office of Admission. So even just on that like kind of level, it's nice to have your orientation group as well as your orientation leaders to be kind of your first connection to meeting people on campus. And I'll still see my friends who are orientation leaders like point people out on campus like they were in my OL group, and so I think that's a really special experience.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. How do you feel you were able to manage some funds while you're at Chapman as a student? You both have on-campus jobs, so maybe talking a little bit more about that experience and having a job on campus and still being a student and managing those needs at the same time.
Go for it.
Emily?
Okay. I'm super pro on-campus job. I have had a job since I was 16, and one thing that's really great about on-campus employment is that you're more able to easily schedule your work shifts with your classes. So a lot of jobs externally might want you to work a 6-hour shift, and that might not make sense with your class schedule. Whereas our on-campus jobs function more within the academic like schedule of the day. And so I think it's a great opportunity in that regard. Additionally, just in terms of managing money, it's been good to help, have some like extra cash to, do fun things and get out, go see a concert. I think one thing that I really appreciate is with your meal plan, like the way that that works with the Panther Bucks versus the meal swipes. That's kind of an intro to budgeting. And figuring out how many Panther Bucks do I have for the whole semester. Sorry, my roommate has a dog, if you can hear the bark. But it's an intro into budgeting and figuring out how to make that last for the whole semester without actually having it be real money, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would say same thing with the on-campus job. It's been great with scheduling and everything like that. Also, just on-campus jobs are really fun, especially in the Office of Admission. Shameless plug there. But if you're looking for a very fun on-campus job, I find myself in the office more often than not, even when I'm not working. So it's a great environment. But also, like in terms of the money, same thing. Having that money from the on-campus job has been great. My first 2 years, I also had a second job at a restaurant in Anaheim, about 15 minutes away. And so I was working 2 jobs, but still felt like it was very manageable and everything like that. So I think just finding those jobs, but like just having like this year, I've just worked the on-campus job, and that's been totally sufficient for me. So yeah, I would say taking advantage of those opportunities definitely helps with kind of having some extra spending money to go do fun things and stuff like that.
I'll also say student employees have a maximum of 19 hours a week that they're allowed to work. And that's across all of your on-campus jobs. So that way there's also kind of a boundary in place that that you're not going to overwork yourself, and you have that time management built in there. So that's one thing I value as well.
Some great insight, guys. Thank you so much. And we love having you in the Office of Admission too. If you have any other questions, feel free to pop those in the Q&A as well. But I see one about your favorite off-campus recommendations. So what are some of your guys' favorite spots that you would recommend for families to check out or students to check out once that they're here on campus?
For me, if we're talking just in the circle, I really like Finney's is a great option. It's like a public house, and so they have a lot of different types of food. It's really good food, kind of a fun environment. There's a fun little patio there. I really like Citrus City Grill as well. There's some really good food there. Pretty much anything in the circle you can't go wrong with. Christian mentioned Taco Stand earlier. That's always really good. And then there's also a lot of like great spots. If you have a car and like don't mind driving a little bit, like in the Newport area, there's a lot of great restaurants down there as well. Or even some more coffee shops that I really like going to. My freshman fall was bored at some points, and so I compiled a list of like 25 different Orange County coffee shops and tried to see how many I could go to and like reviewed them like in my notes app on my phone. So if you need some suggestions, let me know. But there's a lot of stuff within 20, like a 20-minute drive if you have a car. But in terms of walking, you really can't go wrong with anywhere in the circle.
Yeah, my personal favorite place in the circle is Pandora. It's like our French bakery cafe. Um, you have to try the turkey and brie sandwich at some point. It's a classic. They also have coffee, tea, pastries, crepes, salads, so many different things. And it's one of my favorite places in the circle to like stop by in between classes for a couple hours and get some homework done and also get some good food. My favorite coffee place in the circle is probably Contra. I know Steele talked about it a little bit earlier, but they just have a really good ambiance in there and very like unique coffee drinks that you won't really find at any of the other places. In terms of outside of the circle, I really like Lido Village, which is closer to Newport. It's a whole like chain of restaurants, and it's just really beautiful on the water, something for everyone, and good for just a little like you want to do something a little bit nicer, but don't want to go too far away or do anything crazy.
Awesome, thanks, guys. I also want to say that California's food scene is very different and very unique to the state as well. That you'll have a chance to try different kind of cuisines from all over the place. There's amazing poke, Thai food, sushi, Mexican food. Like there's so much to see. So it's hard to just give a little bit of a list because there's a lot of really fun places to check out. How safe do you guys feel campus is and the city of Orange is as a student that lived on campus and that student that lived off campus as well?
You can't tell on this Zoom, but I am 5 feet tall. So as a small woman living anywhere, I feel really, really safe on our campus. I have a lot of night classes. I remember when I first went to college, my mom was worried about me like walking back from class late at night or just being around in that 7 to 10 p.m. block. And ultimately, like it's not even something I've ever given second thought to, just because like, yes, we have an open campus, but the city of Orange itself is pretty sleepy and in the best possible way during the daytime too. Like I love to go on walks and I never feel worried about I'm walking by myself. And so the public safety presence too really makes that less of a constant presence in my mind. P. Safe Hinson is one of our famous public safety officers, and he likes to make his presence known to students and just be an approachable figure rather than like someone to be afraid of. And don't know what we do without him.
Yeah, that is very true. The public safety presence is always there, which is great. Like anytime you're walking through campus, you're going to see them. And they're also always patrolling like the off-campus housing options and things like that as well. So they're always there. They make it feel really safe. But yeah, same thing. Like I've always felt safe on campus, walking around like really any time of day, any time of night as well. The Orange community, especially like the few blocks right around campus, is it's kind of a funny dynamic. It's a mix of college students and then there's like a lot of retired people and a few families. So it is a very safe environment. And so walking through, you always feel really safe, and it can be kind of quiet, but like in a good way while walking. So it is a very safe location, both like the surroundings of campus, but also specifically on campus is a very safe space.
Thank you, guys. There's a lot of questions in the chat about first year housing, dorming, and like what those communities look like. Can you guys tell us a little bit about those living learning communities and how that is set up?
Yeah. So the housing is set up, living learning communities, as you said. So everyone on your floor, not everyone in the building, but everyone on your floor is going to be in the same school or college that you are in, not exactly the exact same major, which is a fun way to do it because a lot of times you're going to have classes with some of the people on your floor, or you're gonna have similar interests, things like that. Your roommates are also assigned, but it honestly like works out better than that, and Chapman does it that way because they have statistics that basically say they have less roommate issues when roommates are assigned than when people choose their roommates. And how that works is basically you'll fill out a form when you fill out your housing application that we like to say is eHarmony-esque. But it's kind of like when do you wake up, when do you go to bed, what kind of music do you listen to, what do you like to do on the weekends, when do you shower, things like that. And on that note, like they try to pair you up with who they think is going to be the best fit to live together. It's not always going to be your best friend. They're not trying to pair you up with your best friend, but who's going to be the best living fit for you. And it works out really well pretty much all the time. And so it's really nice about that you get to have these people that are on your floor that most likely have similar interests and are taking some of the similar classes and things like that. And it's a fun environment too, because you walk down a floor and like for me, I'm in the dodgeball and then I walk down a floor and it's business students or something like that. And so it's kind of a fun dynamic throughout the entire hall that like on the different floors, it's different schools. And so I really like the way it's set up, and it definitely, I feel like was very beneficial in terms of academics wise, but also like the way you make your friends in your major and in the dorms and everything like that.
Awesome. Thanks, Tanner. What is the nightlife like on the weekends? Can you go out to places and hear music? What does that look like for you guys? What does your nights look like?
One thing that's cool about Orange County is that there is like a pretty good nightlife scene, just like in like the surrounding area, and then also LA as well. There's always something to do on the weekends. In terms of concerts, the Honda Center like does a lot of concerts, also like Crypto.com and so SoFi in LA. Those are big concert venues as well. Orange County also has a lot of great local music options. One of our student organizations is actually putting on a music festival in Garden Grove coming up, with not only Chapman bands but also just a few other local bands, that is open to students to buy tickets to. So both small artists and big artists, you're going to find a lot there. In addition, our university program board puts on a lot of concerts on campus. We had Olivia O'Brien, we did a concert with Sean Kingston. So a lot of super fun guests are coming to our campus specifically as well. So if you're interested in music, there's a lot of options for you.
Perfect. Thank you, Emily. What are some ways that you can get in touch with other out-of-state students, or how was it for you guys coming to campus and being from a different state? How was that process like into getting a little bit more assimilated into Chapman?
Yeah. For me, I didn't honestly until getting here, really the only person I had talked to before coming down for orientation was my roommate, just which I guess I'll answer this while it's up there because I saw it, but there was a question about when do you get your roommates. Those usually come about late July, is when you'll get your roommates assigned. But that was really the only person like I had talked to before coming down here. And that really wasn't an issue for me. Once I got here during orientation week, like you're meeting so many people during that week and the first few week of school with classes and everything like that, like it's very it was honestly a pretty seamless, easy transition for me to get to know the other students. And it's funny, we kind of joke about it now, but it's like the first couple weeks, especially orientation week, your conversations are going to sound and look a lot like, oh, what's your name? Where are you from? What's your major? It's a classic, but like that's what you're interested in and want to know where people are from. And so it was definitely, and then like you get someone who's from the same area as you, and then that conversation goes on there. So it's fun in that matter. And I felt like the transition was pretty seamless for me, and worked out really well. If you're interested in finding other people beforehand, there's probably already one that started, but there's always an Instagram page that's like Chapman class of 2028 for you guys. So you can go on there and people will post and be like, I'm committed or I'm thinking about it, and find some people. So yeah.
Not to age myself, but back in my day, you got invited to join a Facebook group for your admitted student class. And so that's actually how I met one of my roommates to this day, is that I posted, I'm Emily, this is my major, here's a little bit about me. And she DM'd me on Instagram, and we've been best friends ever since, and still live together 4 years later. Happen to be the same major. So I think in the age of social media, like, take advantage of that. Even if it's just you talk to someone for a couple days and then maybe you don't become best friends, that's totally okay too, just for the experience of getting to know other people. That is a great resource. Additionally, I always say that making friends is kind of like a snowball effect. You will meet one person and inevitably they will introduce you to someone else, and then that person introduces you to another person. And Andrea stole my line about social Venn diagrams, that I'm glad that's catching on though. So, it's never just your one group of friends here and your one group of friends there. I have friends that, yeah, I only know from work, but I also have friends that I work with and they're in my social sorority and they're in this other thing with me. We have class together or something, that you'll see a lot of overlap, and that helps you meet people in that 6 degrees of separation type of way.
It's such a great way to put it, Emily. So you've snowball affected that line for sure. Another question I'm seeing in the chat is, what is move-in day like? So talk a little bit about orientation, but what is that day of moving into campus and getting all your stuff ready to go? What did that look like? I know you guys were
Yeah,
maybe COVID
so
years.
oh, I just assumed I'll take this one because Emily never had an actual move-in for Chapman housing. But it's honestly a super fun day. Like, you show up, you have your scheduled time to get there, depending on the time of the day, and you basically will show up with your stuff, and you'll go check in, get your ID card. They'll tell you what room you're in, and then they'll tell you your room before, but kind of tell you where your room is. And then you just start moving in. But there's a bunch of, like, it's very high energy. The orientation leaders definitely make sure it's high energy. But then it's kind of fun. Like, I remember vividly, like, I was walking out of my room, my roommate like walks up and walks by, and we like kind of looked at each other for a second, and then it was like, oh, and then like said hi, and it was super fun. But then, like, after you get everything moved into your room, then there's a bunch of stuff with orientation that happens. Like, you get to meet your orientation group, and then they do there's something that night, I don't remember, but there's usually a fun event that night for all the students. So moving day it's honestly pretty easy, pretty seamless. But yeah, preparing for it, they make it really easy also. One thing that's really nice is Chapman partners with this company that you can rent a mini fridge, a freezer on top, and a microwave on top of that, like, all stacked together. It's like $250 for the year. And they'll have it in your room when you move in. And you leave it there when you move out, and they'll come take it. And so that makes that really easy. You don't have to worry about bringing a mini fridge or things like that. So yeah, it's a fun day. I still remember when I moved in, it was like, wow, this is really happening. But yeah, it's a really fun day.
So thank you, Tanner. I was gonna say, I know that Emily moved in during COVID, so different experiences there, but that is a great insight to what that process is like. Speaking about first days and that freshman experience, what was your first day of classes like? Sorry, Emily.
Well, I can speak to like my first actual day on campus. My sophomore year was our first year fully in person. And it was the best feeling in the world. Let me just say that. Obviously coming off of COVID, that was, yes, a great experience to be able to actually be back on campus. But I was just saying a couple weeks ago, I was visiting one of my friends at another school, and I was like, there's something so unique about walking through your college campus on just a sunny day, like, whether you're going to class or like have no responsibilities, whatever it is, it feels straight out of a movie. And I'm not even being dramatic when I say that. So my first day, I remember I had a pretty good idea of where my classes were, but it's not uncommon that the night before the first day of class, you'll see people milling around campus, like looking at their schedule, trying to figure out where their classes are so that they know that they're not late. And definitely, like, yeah, first day of school, vibes were good. You would never expect that first day of school after summer vacation, but I was so excited to be like back in the classroom and back in person. with all my friends and getting to learn in that environment again. And yeah, I love the first day of school.
Yeah, for me, it was really exciting going off that point Emily just made about like the night before. I remember me and my friends that had met the week prior that lived in my hall. Sunday night, we went and walked around campus and found the buildings of all of our classrooms. So we knew where to go. But yeah, it was a super fun day, like to be like, oh yeah, like this is really happening. I remember getting my first day of school picture for my mom right under Schmid Gate. And then yeah, it's a fun day. um Campus is not even relatively, but pretty easy to get around. So you kind of figure out where your classes are and everything like that. You have plenty of time. But yeah, it was definitely a fun and exciting day. But the first week of classes is always the best because you're pretty much going over the syllabus. So it's not like you're jumping straight into the work. So you kind of get a nice lay of the land and meet the people in your classes and things like that. But yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. We have a couple minutes for a couple more questions. If we didn't get to your question, though, do not worry. You will get an answer sent over to you via one of our colleagues or one of our helpful student workers. So I'm going to kick us off and end the night or day or afternoon, wherever you're joining us from, with a popular shipping question. So since you guys were both from both are out-of-state students, what was that like? Did you guys choose to ship your stuff out when you moved in, either of the years that you came to campus, or do you feel like that's a popular option for people coming from farther away?
Yeah, I packed up all of my stuff into 4 suitcases when I moved out here for the first time. Southwest lets you check 2 bags for free, and so I had my 2, my mom had her 2. And I packed as much stuff as I could into those 2 bags. Additionally, if you can just wait and buy it here, I would recommend doing that. There are a ton of Targets in Orange County. There's an IKEA. Pretty much any store that you need is out here. A lot of stores also allow you to like ship things to the store. That makes it a little bit easier. I can't speak to like having stuff delivered to campus because that wasn't my experience, but that would be my recommendation, would be to either buy it when you get here or have it shipped to the store.
Yeah, I didn't have much shipped. I had a couple things like shipped to a family friend, but then and probably was going to have more shipped, but then the week before I was supposed to come down and move down, I got COVID and I couldn't fly anymore, so I had to drive. So it kind of worked out in my favor because then I got my car and could bring some more stuff in my car, bringing it down. But a life hack for you all: Bed Bath and Beyond actually has this thing where you can buy things online and basically they'll store them in the back for you for, I think it was like a month out, even is what my family did. So like stuff for my dorm we bought and they would keep it at the store and then just would schedule a pickup time and went and picked it all up and it was perfect. So like my sheets and my mattress topper and a few other things like we did that for and it was perfect. But yeah, for the most part, I brought some stuff with me, or like had a couple things shipped to a family friend that lives down here. But beyond that, brought most of it with me.
Perfect.
Or
Well, thank
bought
you
when I was
guys.
here.
Thank you guys for Tanner for all that insight and Emily for all your thoughts. You guys are great helpers in kind of providing that experience and telling us a little bit more about what it's like to be here at Chapman, coming from a different state, and you're rock stars as well. So if you have any questions for them, you can find them on our Ask a Student portal as well if there's something else that you wanted to hear about. But I appreciate you all joining us here this morning or night or afternoon. And if you want to ask any more questions to your admission counselor, you can find them on our website and by typing in your high school. But that is all for today. Thank you guys for joining us and have a good rest of your day. See you all.